Well, the school year is winding down for teachers and students. Pretty soon, the start of summer break will begin.
And families tend to relax, but also accomplish a lot between school years. Not only do they vacation, but also moving.
We are quickly approaching the busiest moving season of the year, and while the whole process can be stressful for buyers and sellers, the same goes for kids too.
Yeah, and here now with some advice on how to make the move a little smoother for the kids is Candace Bradley, the Orlando General Manager of Open Doors. So you're not promising that moving is easy, no, but if you've got kids, there are some things we can do to make it a little bit better. How does that work?
Yeah, I am the proud mom of 4 babies, and they range in age from 7 to 1. And I've moved cross country with them a couple times.
Wow.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, the crew,
you're still alive.
and
You're
I'm still
here.
So we have the crew down now, and I think there's a few things that you can do to kind of make it easier for the entire family. And I'd say the first set are really kind of thinking about it from the perspective of the child leaving a place that's very familiar to them and allowing them the space and the energy to be able to express how they're sad about leaving those spaces. And so for us with packing, first thing we did was have a couple extra boxes and allow them to kind of separate toys and belongings and things like that. They selected a charity that really meant something to them, put toys, boxes, books, whatever into that box and shared it with the charity. And I think from my daughter's perspective, that kind of allowed her to say she was leaving a piece of herself, right, in the neighborhood. That piece of joy that she felt from that would be, kind of felt by another child in our same neighborhood, and hopefully that would kind of continue on that way. So that was a really good.
Yeah.
And for me, frankly, allowed us to take less to our new location.
Yes, that is always key, right? And moving is emotional. Every time I leave a house, I always have such mixed emotions, even though I always feel like I'm moving on to something better. And for kids, a lot of times, it's about control too, and being involved in that process.
Exactly. And so speak of kind of having those memories, another thing we did was have a memory box, and we, kind of stuffed it with things that made them feel good about the last place. So we put pictures in, maybe we did a small arts and crafts project that we did and put that in. And then when we got to the new spot, opened it up. And whenever we felt sad about that, we were able to kind of go back to those pictures or go back to that memory of that item and really kind of express that for them.
And appreciating the memories, but also looking forward to the new adventure in the new house. How can we get them involved? Maybe is it taking them to open houses or doing those virtual tours, Google mapping? I mean, what can we do?
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say the virtual tours, right? I think that's the easiest spot to start, and where you sit in front of the computer and you tour that space and you say, hey, can you imagine playing here? Can you imagine your bed being positioned here? And you really get them involved and a lot more active into the process. And I think there's so many apps, right, for us to also use and kind of allow our kids to help experience that. One thing that my daughter loved was Pinterest, right? So we'd make a board.
Who doesn't love Pinterest?
Right? You can go right down that rabbit hole pretty quickly, right?
Exactly. Set up a board and say, I want my new room to have all these amazing components, and they feel immediately involved in the overall process.
I mean, I feel like when we moved into the house, the nursery or the kids' room is always the first room that is all decorated.
Yes.
The rest of the house could look like shambles, but at least you kind of give them that little kind of peaceful oasis once you finally move in. You think that also helps?
Absolutely. And I'd echo that. My kids' rooms were literally the first to go, and there are still boxes in other rooms for me, but they feel at home. So that's all that matters.
The key.
That's really good advice. And so what else can parents do as far as, when it comes to moving them to the schools, different districts, even just moving down the street, sometimes you change schools.
Yeah. So we moved from Chicago to Florida most recently. So this was kind of a pretty big move for our kids. And we used Nextdoor and essentially used that as a platform to say, like, look, this is what people do in the neighborhood that we're moving to. So whether they were posts about, after school activities, you can, kind of pick up that activity that we had before in Chicago. You can do that same thing here in Florida, and here's some kids who are doing it. Or, if there are posts about schools, right? You'll get a lot of kind of frequent posts about like certain teachers or certain schools and certain districts being, kind of good ones. So it allows the kids to start, kind of immersing themselves in those experiences before you're even there.
Yeah, and changing schools can be so scary. So summer might be a good time to do that, where they can get to know some other kids in the neighborhood and pick up some activities so they feel a little more acclimated when August rolls around.
Exactly. Ahead of time. It's really important.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, there's so many great things. I know a lot of people are kind of getting to that brink of whether they're selling or buying. This is going to get kind of crazy, especially here in Central Florida. It feels like everyone's moving and grooving.
We're excited for it.
Yes.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Good to have you.